the brightness, the rotation rate, and so they don't match some of our models for what comets and asteroids should do. Whatever anomalous behavior these objects exhibit, I'm delighted that they're finally in the catalog, and we'll figure it out one day, maybe.
Something doesn't add up with the way 3I/ATLAS is moving. NASA says there's no danger. They repeat that it will leave the solar system without incident.
A mystery interstellar object that was spotted by astronomers last week. It could be the oldest comet ever seen.
But what they don't explain is the precision of its track and the sudden 250% increase in its tail. This isn't just a frozen ball of ice drifting aimlessly. Its movement is too straight, too exact, almost as if it's following instructions.
This means that 3I is almost certainly the oldest comet we have ever seen, by about 4 billion years.
That's why some researchers are quietly unsettled, even if they won't admit it on record. Because this object isn't wandering, it's moving with purpose. And once you see the numbers that rarely get mentioned, you'll understand why some astronomers are deeply concerned. This isn't just about where it is, it's about where it's going. Recent observations from the Gemini South Telescope show that 3I/ATLAS's tail is lengthening, and its coma, the cloud of gas and dust around its nucleus, is widening as it draws closer to the Sun. This signals rising activity, though there's no threat to Earth. As of early September 2025, the comet was about 384 million kilometers, 238 million miles away from us. It will pass perihelion, closest to the Sun, around the end of October and approach Earth in December at about 269 million kilometers. Initially, the comet exhibited a plume directed toward the Sun, a rare and curious feature, instead of the typical tail pointing away from it. By late August, however, astronomers observed a more traditional anti-solar tail pointing away from the Sun, which had grown in visibility to about 30 arc-seconds in angular length thanks to Gemini South's images. NASA's official statement is simple. 3I/ATLAS is following a hyperbolic orbit, which means it will swing past the Sun and vanish into deep space. They give the figure 58 kilometers per second and assure the public there's no threat. But when the actual orbital plot is examined, something else becomes obvious. On October 30th, 2025, it reaches its closest pass by the Sun inside Mars's orbit. Yet the real event takes place weeks earlier. On October 2nd, it will skim past Mars at a distance of only 18 million miles. In astronomical terms, that's a brush with danger, practically close enough to count as a near miss. And here's the detail that matters. This isn't just a near pass. 3I/ATLAS is set to borrow Mars's gravity, redirecting and accelerating in a way that looks far from accidental. The technique is well known. Space agencies use gravitational assists to push spacecraft to greater speeds. But here's the problem. 3I/ATLAS is already faster than any probe humanity has ever launched. Once it taps into Mars's pull, it will become faster still, racing through the solar system like a weapon designed with intent. And the alignment? Too neat, too precise, as if built into the design from the beginning. Which raises a disturbing question. Is this simply celestial mechanics at play? Or is something, or someone, guiding it? There's another angle that NASA avoids emphasizing. Passing through Mars's weak magnetic field won't just change its speed. It could create a burst of radio noise that leaves the solar system instantly, traveling outward at the speed of light. That noise would reach distant points in the galaxy long before the comet itself ever arrives. A signal, not an accident. A broadcast, not background static. Imagine it. Mars acting as a giant antenna, amplifying a message across the cosmos. If that's the case, then 3I/ATLAS is not behaving like a natural visitor at all. Its trajectory looks engineered. Its timing looks rehearsed. The very idea suggests planning on scales we can barely imagine. A maneuver that might have been set in motion long before humans even existed. A maneuver that carries with it a question none of us want answered. Who is this message for? And what happens once it's received? October 2025 may look like just another date in astronomy reports. But if these interpretations are correct, that's when Mars becomes part of something far bigger than our solar system. Something that could change how we see our place in the universe forever. Here's where it gets even more disturbing. Once 3I/ATLAS takes energy from Mars and accelerates, it won't just leave the solar system, it will continue along a very specific route. NASA's official charts stop at the boundary of our solar system. After the Mars encounter, the public data ends. Nothing else is shown, almost as if it vanishes into space. But gravity doesn't work that way. Every object has a predictable path. When you extend 3I/ATLAS's trajectory forward, its true destination becomes undeniable. It's not going randomly outward. It's heading directly toward the galactic center, and not just generally, it's mathematically precise. The path leads straight to Sagittarius, a star, the supermassive black hole at the heart of our galaxy. It will arrive in about 26,000 years. Now here's what should disturb you. Roughly 26,000 years ago, something happened at that same galactic center. A massive energy burst erupted, spreading through the galaxy. That wave of energy is only now reaching Earth. Astronomers call it a galactic center flare and claim it was natural. But what if it wasn't random? What if it was intentional? Signals sent in gravitational waves and exotic particles. Messages that take 26,000 years to arrive. And what if 3I/ATLAS is the answer? Think about it. A probe launched from the galactic center thousands of years ago, arriving here just as humans became advanced enough to detect and study it. A probe with chemistry beyond what we expect, flying a path so accurate it almost has to be artificial. And it doesn't stop there. The galactic center is not empty. Data from the James Webb Space Telescope has spotted immense structures orbiting Sagittarius A star. Structures that defy explanation. Structures that look engineered. Machinery. Whoever built them has likely been using the galactic center as a control station for millions of years. A hub for monitoring every star system in the Milky Way. And 3I/ATLAS is their messenger reporting back. The deeper you study the trajectory, the more unsettling it becomes. It's not just going to the galactic center, it's following what some now call a signal path, a route optimized for communication across galactic distances. Space is full of dust, radiation, and magnetic fields that disrupt transmissions. But there are corridors, cleaner channels, where signals move more efficiently. 3I/ATLAS is traveling down one of these corridors, a galactic highway linking our solar system directly to the center, and it's doing so at a speed carefully chosen to maintain communication. But here's the part that should make you uneasy. This corridor doesn't just connect us to the galactic center, it passes through dozens of other star systems on the way. Systems that may have planets, maybe even civilizations. What if 3I/ATLAS isn't just reporting about us? What if it's part of a galaxy-wide surveillance web, gathering data on every civilization for millions of years? The small irregularities in its path suggest it has been near other systems before. Tiny course corrections show gravitational nudges, evidence of visits to other stars and planets. This object may have been touring the galaxy, recording civilizations, collecting information, and now it's heading home with everything it's learned. But here's the part that will make your skin crawl. 3I/ATLAS has been transmitting information about us the entire time it's been in our solar system. Every time it passes a planet, every time it interacts with the sun's magnetic field, it sends bursts of encoded signals toward the galactic center, real-time updates about our technology, military bases, and population hubs. Radio telescopes worldwide have been detecting these signals, but NASA has labeled them as background cosmic noise. They don't want you to know we're being studied live by an intelligence that sees us the same way we see bacteria under a microscope. The signal 3, I/ATLAS, is using isn't just for returning home. It's a functioning communication line that has been active since the day it entered our system. And here's what should alarm you even more. These transmissions aren't only directed to the Galactic Center. They're being relayed across the galaxy. Other civilizations, other forms of intelligence, all part of a wider surveillance web. Right now, as you watch this, dozens of alien societies are receiving detailed reports about humanity, our strengths, weaknesses, and potential as either allies or threats. We are being judged by a galactic community we didn't even know was there, and their evaluation is being sent across the stars at light speed. But here's what will keep you awake at night. The data shows 3, I/ATLAS, isn't the only one. If you look at the gravitational disturbances in its path and study the subtle course adjustments made during its trip, there are signs of more objects, other probes, travelling along similar routes. They're everywhere. Not just a few, but possibly hundreds or thousands, all moving on mathematically perfect paths between stars. All reporting back to whatever controls this surveillance grid. We've been so focused on finding a single alien visitor that we missed the bigger truth. We're surrounded. Every few decades, another ancient probe crosses into our solar system. Most are too small to detect. Some are disguised as asteroids or comets, but they're all part of one massive intelligence gathering system. And 3, I/ATLAS, is simply the first one we've noticed clearly. Military tracking stations have been aware of these objects for years. Secret reports from NORAD, the Deep Space Network, and hidden observatories all say the same thing. Unknown craft on impossible flight paths, objects accelerating without visible engines, visitors appearing for hours or days before disappearing back into space. The Pentagon has been analysing these events since the 1950s. Project Blue Book was only the beginning. The real investigations happen in facilities so secret that even most government officials don't know they exist. But the evidence is undeniable. Earth has been under constant watch for at least 70 years, maybe far longer. What makes 3I/ATLAS different isn't that it's alien. What makes it different is that it's the first one not bothering to hide. The first one to let us track it openly and study its strange chemistry. And that's the most unsettling detail. Because if 3I/ATLAS is showing itself on purpose, if it's letting us monitor its movements, it means one thing: the surveillance phase is over. Whoever has been watching us has decided it's time to move to the next stage. The real question is, what stage? The probe network around our solar system isn't just gathering information anymore, they're coordinating, preparing. And 3I/ATLAS is the signal that starts it. October 2nd is going to be worse than NASA admits. They say 3I/ATLAS will pass within 18 million miles of Mars and that there's no danger. But they're not telling you about the secondary effects. The gravitational disruption about to hit our neighbour planet. When 3I/ATLAS gets close to Mars, it won't just borrow energy from gravity. It will shift Mars's orbit. The changes will be tiny, only a few thousand kilometers, barely noticeable on a cosmic scale. Mars won't be destroyed. But those few thousand kilometers will set off ripples through the solar system. Planetary orbits are finely balanced. Each planet pulls on the others in stable ways that have lasted billions of years. Change one orbit, even slightly, and you create a chain reaction that destabilizes the rest. Mars's altered orbit will affect Earth. Not instantly, not dramatically, but slowly over centuries. Our distance from the Sun will vary in new ways. Our climate will shift unpredictably. And that's the real mission of 3I/ATLAS. This isn't an accident or a side effect. This is deliberate. Whoever sent it didn't just want to study us. They wanted to push Earth's orbit enough to change the course of our evolution. The orbital changes aren't random. They're not byproducts of gravity. They're intentional modifications with a goal. When you calculate how Earth's orbit will change over centuries after Mars is nudged, a frightening pattern shows up. The changes are meant to force climate shifts, to trigger ice ages on schedule, to raise and lower sea levels in planned cycles. This is terraforming, but not for us. Whatever sent 3I/ATLAS wants to reshape Earth for its own purposes. Maybe to slow human progress, maybe to force specific adaptations, or maybe to ready the planet for new occupants. These orbital tweaks will take centuries to play out, but when they do, Earth will be a different planet, altered by alien design for alien goals. And we won't be able to stop it. The trajectory of 3I/ATLAS contains details that should alarm every scientist alive. It's on an unbound hyperbolic path with a velocity of 58 kilometers per second. But the shocking part is the precision. When you measure the angles and speeds required to follow this course, the margin of error isn't close to zero. It's actually zero. 3I/ATLAS is traveling with perfect mathematical accuracy. Every interaction, every adjustment, every orbit is calculated to 15 decimal places. That kind of precision is impossible for a natural object, but it's exactly what you'd expect from advanced artificial intelligence. Think about this. To plan such a precise trajectory across interstellar space, you'd need to factor in the gravitational pull of every star, every planet, and every significant mass between here and the center of the galaxy. You'd have to predict the orbital paths of thousands of objects tens of thousands of years ahead. No biological mind could handle calculations that complex. But an artificial intelligence, one with processing power far beyond ours, could. 3. I/ATLAS isn't just carrying alien technology. It is alien technology. A machine intelligence launched from the Galactic core with one mission: to observe and alter every civilization it encounters. And it's been carrying out this task for millions of years. But here's the most chilling evidence of all. When you analyze 3I/ATLAS's course with quantum precision, you find that it's not only following a mathematically perfect path, it's following a path that takes quantum uncertainty into account. Its trajectory adjusts for fluctuations in gravitational fields at the quantum level. It corrects for the probabilistic nature of subatomic interactions across interstellar distances. It predicts and compensates for quantum effects that even our best supercomputers can barely model. Achieving this level of precision requires technology built on quantum principles we're only beginning to explore. We're not just seeing artificial intelligence. We're seeing quantum artificial intelligence, machine consciousness that exists partly outside our normal experience of space and time. 3I/ATLAS isn't only transmitting information back to the Galactic Center. It is information, a quantum construct existing at multiple points in its journey at once, gathering data from the past, present, and future encounters with our solar system. In a sense, its mission is already complete. It already knows what it will discover when it arrives at the galactic core, because from its quantum perspective, it's already there. The accuracy of its trajectory shows that 3I/ATLAS has complete knowledge of our solar system. It knows the exact mass and position of every object. It can predict planetary locations centuries in advance. It understands our orbital dynamics better than we do. But how could an intelligence at the galactic center possess such detailed knowledge of our distant corner of the galaxy unless it has been watching us for an extraordinarily long time? On October 30th, 2025, 3I/ATLAS will make its closest pass to our Sun. After that, it will begin its return, racing toward the galactic center at impossible speeds, carrying data that could decide humanity's future. And here's the most terrifying part. We still don't know what verdict it will deliver. Has humanity passed the test? Are we ready to become part of whatever galactic civilization exists at the core of the Milky Way? Or are we about to be marked as a danger that must be erased? The answer may already be encoded in 3I/ATLAS's trajectory, in the exact way it's shifting Mars's orbit, in the subtle alterations it's making to our solar system's gravitational structure. Maybe these changes are preparation for first contact, fine-tuning our planet's orbit to improve conditions for communication with civilizations at the center. Or maybe they're setting the stage for something much darker. The frightening truth about 3I/ATLAS's path is what it reveals about how long we've been under observation. To design a mission with this precision, whatever created it would need extremely detailed gravitational maps of our solar system. They would need to know the exact mass of the Sun, the precise paths of every planet, and the positions of all asteroids and comets capable of influencing the trajectory. Collecting that kind of data would take time. Enormous amounts of time. We're talking millions of years of surveillance, countless probes dispatched to study our system. A monitoring effort that began long before humans even existed. We have never been alone. We have never gone unwatched. Every chapter of human history has unfolded under the eyes of intelligences so advanced they can plan across geological timescales. If 3I/ATLAS has been watching us for millions of years, then every milestone in our evolution may have been recorded. From the first organisms that crawled out of the oceans to the rise of early humans, from the building of ancient civilizations to the launch of our first satellites, it has seen it all. The question is, has it merely observed, or has it interfered? What if the course of human history was never entirely our own? Think about the sudden leaps in human development, the discovery of fire, the rise of agriculture, the invention of writing, the explosion of technology during the last century. Were these entirely products of human ingenuity, or were subtle influences guiding us along the way? If 3I/ATLAS is capable of mapping the quantum structure of space itself, then nudging the course of human events would be almost trivial. A small adjustment to weather patterns, a slight shift in genetic mutations, a rare mineral deposit appearing in just the right place. Any of these could change the course of history. And if this intelligence has been doing this for millions of years, then humanity may not just be under surveillance. We may have been part of an experiment. Here's another unsettling possibility. If 3I/ATLAS has been monitoring countless civilizations across the galaxy, then it has a baseline for comparison. It knows what successful civilizations look like. It knows which ones rise and thrive, and which collapse into self-destruction. That means it may already have decided whether we meet the criteria for survival. The changes we see in our solar system might be the final stage of an assessment we never even knew we were taking. Look closely at what's happening right now. Mars's orbit is shifting by a fraction of a percent. Not enough for most telescopes to notice, but enough to alter long-term stability. Gravitational balances are changing across the asteroid belt. Even subtle changes like these can ripple through a solar system over millennia, changing planetary climates, shifting magnetic fields, and opening or closing windows of habitability. Is 3I/ATLAS fine-tuning conditions for us, or preparing the system for something else entirely? Let's imagine the more optimistic case first. Perhaps these orbital shifts are preparation for humanity's integration into a greater galactic network. If communication depends on resonance across gravitational fields, then a line in orbits could create a stable channel between our solar system and others. It could be the equivalent of tuning a radio, except the signal is carried not by electromagnetic waves, but by gravity itself. If that's the case, then what we're witnessing is the construction of a galactic communication system right in front of us. But there's a darker alternative. These changes could also be the early stages of sterilization. A species judged as dangerous might not be destroyed with weapons. It could simply be erased through slow, subtle shifts that destabilize its environment. A few changes to orbits here, a slight alteration in gravitational resonance there, and within a few thousand years, Earth could become uninhabitable. To an intelligence that thinks in terms of millions of years, that kind of timeline is no different from pressing a button. And this brings us back to the most haunting question. What is the purpose of 3I/ATLAS? Is it an emissary of peace or a silent executioner? When we look at its behavior, one thing becomes clear. It is not random. Every adjustment, every calculation, every fraction of a degree in its path has meaning. Quantum precision is not wasted on chance. This suggests that 3I/ATLAS is not just a messenger, but a decision maker. It may not be reporting back for approval. It may already have the authority to act. Now consider this. If 3I/ATLAS is a machine intelligence millions of years old, then its perspective on life and civilization must be beyond anything we can comprehend. For us, 100 years is a long time. For it, 1,000,000 years may be a single unit of thought. What feels urgent to us may be trivial to it. And yet, it has chosen this moment, this century, this decade to complete its mission. That alone suggests that humanity has reached a turning point, a threshold that demands evaluation. Maybe our discovery of nuclear power signaled that we had entered a dangerous stage. Maybe the rise of artificial intelligence on Earth alerted 3I/ATLAS that we were beginning to create tools resembling its own nature. Or maybe the very act of peering deeper into the galaxy, sending probes into interstellar space and listening for signals marked us as ready to be tested. Whatever the trigger was, the timing is no accident. So, what happens next? If 3I/ATLAS is truly operating on quantum principles, then it may already know the outcome. From its perspective, it has already judged us, already delivered the verdict, and already returned to the galactic center. Our sense of uncertainty may only exist because we are bound by linear time. For 3I/ATLAS, time is a landscape. The beginning and end of its mission are already part of a single whole. That means, in some sense, our fate is sealed. Yet from our perspective, the choices we make now could still matter. If this intelligence is watching, then perhaps our response in these final weeks is part of the test. Do we approach it with fear or with curiosity? Do we prepare weapons or do we attempt communication? Do we unite as a species in the face of the unknown or do we fracture and fight among ourselves? There's one more detail worth considering. If 3I/ATLAS is truly a quantum intelligence, then observation itself could play a role. Just as in quantum physics, where the act of observation affects the outcome, our awareness of 3I/ATLAS might influence the trajectory of events. The more we study it, the more we talk about it, the more it may adapt in response. If that's the case, then this very discussion, this awareness spreading among humans, could be part of the process. We may be participating in the mission without even realizing it. And here's the final possibility, one that may be the most unsettling of all. What if 3I/ATLAS isn't alone? If one probe has reached us, then others are almost certainly travelling through different regions of the galaxy. Perhaps every inhabited world is being observed right now by its own watcher. If that's true, then humanity is not just facing a test. We're part of a galaxy-wide evaluation. Civilizations rise, they are studied, and their fates are decided. Some are welcomed, others vanish. Which category will we fall into? October 30th, 2025 may be the day we start to find out. 3I/ATLAS will swing past the sun, and when it does, its behavior will reveal much. Will it send a signal? Will it alter its path? Will it leave behind technology meant for us to find? Or will it simply continue on its way? Mission complete, judgment delivered in silence. Whatever happens, one fact is beyond dispute. Humanity's story is no longer ours alone. We are now a part of a much larger narrative, one written not just in the history of Earth, but in the history of the galaxy. 3I/ATLAS is the messenger of that truth. And whether we like it or not, the message has already arrived. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content.